The stars stretched endlessly across the black canvas of space, silent witnesses to the struggles of countless worlds. Among them, Earth hung like a fragile gem, its blues and greens glowing faintly against the void. On the surface, humans went about their lives, unaware that beyond the atmosphere, a storm was gathering. A storm that could either extinguish humanity entirely or prove that they were a force unlike any other in the galaxy. In orbit around Earth, a massive conference chamber hummed with tension. The leaders of the United Earth Council gathered, each representing different continents, nations, and ideologies, yet all bound by a single urgent purpose: survival. Holographic screens flickered with images of an approaching alien fleet. The ships were enormous, their hulls gleaming with an alien metal that seemed impervious to any known weapon. Patterns of movement suggested intelligence, strategy, and a single, terrifying certainty: they were coming to conquer. "Even if we send all our fleets, they will overwhelm us," said Admiral Lyra Chen, her voice steady but tight. "We don't have the numbers, they are too advanced. Our ships would be destroyed before reaching their main formation. Humans are not meant for this war. One ship can turn defeat into victory." Humans adapted, improvised, and survived against all odds. Technology could be copied, numbers could be multiplied, but intuition, courage, and creativity, these were uniquely human strengths. And that, he argued, was the edge they had over the aliens. After hours of debate, the Council reluctantly agreed. The decision was made. Humanity would gamble everything on one ship, one crew, and one plan. The ship itself, the Horizon's Edge, was a marvel of human engineering. Sleek and fast, with advanced stealth technology and adaptive systems, it was designed not to overpower but to outthink. Its hull could bend light to remain nearly invisible, and its propulsion allowed it to slip between gravitational fields with astonishing subtlety. Yet, all this would mean nothing without the crew. The humans selected were the finest available: engineers who could repair almost anything, pilots who could maneuver through the most treacherous sectors of space, and strategists whose minds could anticipate moves that no computer could predict. Each had been tested under pressure, each had shown courage when others faltered. And together they formed a team that could face what no fleet of ships could: the unknown. In the hangar, the crew gathered. There was a quiet intensity among them, a shared understanding of the weight they bore. Captain Varn addressed them, his eyes moving from face to face. "Out there," he said, "we are more than our ship. We are the hope of billions. This mission is not just about surviving. It is about proving that humanity cannot be predicted, cannot be broken, and cannot be defeated easily. Every choice, every action you take will matter. And remember, trust each other, trust your instincts, trust humanity." The launch was silent compared to what one might expect. No cheering crowds, no dramatic countdowns, just the quiet hum of machinery and the subtle vibration of the Horizon's Edge as it detached from the space station. Outside the viewport, Earth receded slowly, becoming a pale blue marble in the black. Humanity watched silently as their fate drifted farther into space. Once in open space, the reality of the mission became apparent. The aliens' sensors were everywhere. Every move had to be deliberate, every maneuver precise. The crew adjusted to the unfamiliar rhythm of space travel at the edge of detection. Systems glowed softly on the control panels, the hum of the ship's engines a constant reminder that they were alone in a hostile universe. For days, they navigated through sectors where alien patrols were heavy. Using debris fields, gravitational anomalies, and clever patterns of movement, they avoided detection. Each close call reinforced the crew's understanding of what it meant to rely on human skill. Computers could calculate, predict, and simulate, but humans could improvise. And that would be the difference between life and annihilation. During one tense moment, the ship approached a massive asteroid cluster. Alien sensors scanned the region, searching for anomalies. Captain Varn gave a calm command, and the crew executed a maneuver so precise it seemed impossible. The Horizon's Edge weaved through the rocks as if alive, dodging detection with skill that no algorithm could replicate. "Everyone okay?" Varn asked, his voice calm but with an undercurrent of tension. "Ship systems green," replied Lieutenant Mara Kess, the ship's engineer. "Sensors indicate they didn't pick us up." Moments like these reminded the crew of their humanity, the small victories, the shared relief, the knowledge that they could face impossible odds together. Yet, even as they celebrated, the alien threat loomed larger. Intelligence reports showed the fleet they were moving toward was vast, organized, and relentless. The command station they had to reach was heavily defended, a fortress in the emptiness of space. And the horizon's edge was only one ship, one small team. The entire future of humanity rested on their shoulders. In the quiet hours of space, the crew began to talk, not about strategy or tactics, but about themselves, their lives, their reasons for being here. Lieutenant Kess spoke of her family on Earth, and how she wanted to prove that humans could survive even against impossible odds. Navigator Eric Nolas shared stories of the asteroid colonies, places where humans had adapted to survive in hostile environments. Each story, each personal memory reinforced a central truth. Humans were resilient, and that resilience could not be measured in ships, weapons, or numbers. Captain Varn watched them, a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "Remember," he said softly, "our strength is not in what we bring, but in what we can become when we are tested. The aliens may have their machines, their calculations, their formations, but we have intuition, we have courage, and together we have each other." Each crew member relied on both skill and instinct, knowing that a single misstep could spell doom. Then a sudden alert shattered the quiet. Sensors picked up movement, alien drones, faster and more advanced than anything they had encountered. The crew went to work immediately. Hands flew across controls, voices overlapped with calm efficiency. Using a combination of stealth maneuvers and clever countermeasures, they evaded the drones, leaving them to pursue phantom signals in the void. For a brief moment, they allowed themselves to exhale. Victory was never promised, but survival, even temporary, strengthened their resolve. Captain Varn stood quietly at the rear of the control room, watching the stars pass by. "This is just the beginning," he said. "We have proven that one ship can make a difference, but the real test lies ahead. Beyond that horizon, everything changes." One chance to determine victory from defeat. The stars stretched on, cold and indifferent, yet within them a small spark of human determination burned brightly, lighting the way through the darkness. The horizon's edge glided through the darkness, a lone streak of human ingenuity moving with purpose across the void. Every crew member was alert, every system monitored, every decision critical. The alien fleet loomed somewhere beyond the shadows, vast and patient, waiting to crush anything that dared approach. Yet the humans were not just surviving. They were learning, adapting, and outthinking a force far superior in numbers and technology. Captain Elias Varn leaned over the navigation console, eyes scanning the holographic map. "We're entering the patrol corridor near the Devaris cluster," he said. "Drones are likely ahead. Sensors pick up energy signatures consistent with alien detection arrays. We need to remain invisible. Every maneuver must be precise. If we move along the gravitational slipstream, we can stay within sensor blind spots for at least 30 minutes. After that, we'll need to improvise." Their sensors could detect small movements, their algorithms could predict most patterns, and their ships moved with efficiency that made human fleets appear clumsy by comparison. But the humans had one advantage: unpredictability. As the horizon's edge entered the corridor, the crew engaged the ship's stealth field. The hull shimmered faintly as light bent around it, leaving only a ghostly blur where the ship should have been. Systems hummed quietly, and the ship moved like a living shadow, slipping past energy sweeps and detection beams that could have destroyed a conventional craft. Lieutenant Mara Kess, the engineer, studied the energy readings. "Their arrays are adaptive," she said. "They're scanning multiple frequencies. If we follow a single path too predictably, they'll lock onto us. We need constant variation, random enough to be unpredictable but precise enough to avoid collisions with debris." Machines could calculate probabilities, but humans could sense patterns, anticipate reactions, and respond with creativity. Every pulse of energy, every tiny gravitational fluctuation was an opportunity to exploit. Humans did not just survive, they improvised, and that improvisation often became victory. The first wave of drones appeared almost silently, small, fast, and deadly. Their metallic bodies reflected distant starlight as they moved in formation, scanning for any anomaly. The crew held their breath, knowing that even a single detection could trigger a cascade alert to the entire alien fleet. "Adjust course 2 degrees starboard," Eric said. "Their sweep is focused ahead. If we move laterally, we can slip behind the next asteroid cluster." Out here, every decision mattered. Every calculation was life or death. And yet, despite the danger, a sense of exhilaration rippled through the cabin. Humans were alone against the galaxy, but alone did not mean powerless. Hours passed in a tense rhythm. The humans continued through the Devaris cluster, exploiting gravitational anomalies, asteroid shadows, and energy fluctuations to remain undetected. Each small success was celebrated in subtle ways. A nod, a quiet smile, a brief handshake. In these moments, the crew was reminded that their strength lay not only in skill but in their shared trust. Then, a new challenge appeared. A massive alien probe, larger than any drone they had seen, drifted silently ahead. Its sensors pulsed in complex patterns, scanning the void for heat, energy, and movement. Detection by this probe would likely trigger a fleet-wide alert, spelling the end of the mission. "Options?" Captain Varn asked calmly, though his eyes reflected the weight of the situation. "We could attempt a full stealth bypass," Mara suggested, "but it would require shutting down non-essential systems and reducing speed. Any miscalculation and they detect us. It might follow the decoy while we slip past." Lines of code scrolled rapidly as she programmed holographic distortions, energy bursts, and gravitational mimics to confuse the probe. Minutes later, the decoy was ready. The probe reacted almost immediately, tracking what it believed to be a human vessel. The horizon's edge drifted silently behind, invisible and untouchable. The crew held their breath as the probe followed the false signals, moving away from the ship's true path. When the probe had moved far enough, Eric guided the ship through a narrow gravitational channel, emerging safely on the other side. "Probe evaded," Mara announced. "Systems back online, all green." Not just to survive, but to prove that one ship, one crew, one human mind can outthink a superior force. The crew stiffened, realizing that the aliens were aware, at least partially, of their approach. Varn studied the data. "We need to go through, but carefully. Trust your instincts, everyone. There is no exact plan for this. We adapt or we fail." Every adjustment had to be precise. Too little, and they would drift into the anomaly's center where destruction awaited. Too much, and they would reveal themselves to alien sensors outside. Minutes felt like hours. The crew coordinated with quiet efficiency. Eric calculated every curve, Mara monitored every fluctuation, and Varn made split-second decisions based on experience and intuition. Finally, the ship emerged from the anomaly intact, sensors scanning. No alerts, no pursuit. Another small victory, but one that reminded them of the stakes. They were threading a needle in a battlefield they could not see in its entirety. As the crew took a brief moment to relax, Lieutenant Kess spoke up. "You know, it's funny. For all the technology out there, the aliens can't predict us. They see numbers, formations, calculations, but they can't see courage. They can't see instinct, and that is our advantage." They were small, a single ship against countless enemies, yet they carried the hopes of billions. Every choice, every risk, every creative maneuver was a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Hours turned to days. The ship traveled through sectors of space that no human had ever visited. Each sector brought new dangers: asteroid fields, energy storms, rogue satellites left behind by long-dead civilizations. Each challenge tested the crew's skill and unity, and each time humans adapted. Then came the first true encounter. A fleet of alien scouts appeared, faster and more numerous than anything previously encountered. The humans could not avoid detection this time. The aliens were aware of them, and the risk of engagement was high. Varn quickly assessed the situation. "We cannot fight them directly, too many, but we can mislead them, create a path for escape, and continue toward the main target. Focus on outsmarting, not overpowering." They split energy readings, diverted attention, and led the scouts into a field of unstable asteroids. The aliens pursued, unaware of the danger, and several ships were disabled by collisions. The humans emerged unscathed, but the victory was a reminder. Cunning and creativity often mattered more than firepower. That night, or what passed for night in the endless void, the crew gathered in the ship's small observation area. Stars stretched endlessly outside, silent and eternal. Humans were fragile, yet here they were, daring to face a superior enemy with nothing but skill, ingenuity, and courage. Eric looked out the viewport. "Do you think anyone back on Earth really understands what we're doing?" Every maneuver, every calculation, and every instinctive decision was a thread in a web of hope that stretched across light years. Humans were alone, but never powerless. The universe may have been vast and indifferent, but within this small vessel, courage and intelligence burned brighter than any star. And as they moved closer to the alien command station, every crew member understood one truth. They were not just traveling through space. They were redefining what it meant to be human in the face of impossible odds. The horizon's edge moved silently through the black void, a single human ship threading its way through a territory dominated by an alien armada. Every light in the ship's control room glowed softly, marking the steady rhythm of life aboard. Outside, the stars seemed indifferent, distant, and cold, yet inside, a quiet intensity pulsed through the crew. They had come this far, surviving each challenge not by numbers, but by skill, creativity, and courage. Captain Elias Varn stood at the helm, eyes scanning the long-range sensors. The alien command station loomed ahead, a massive structure orbiting a dead star. It was enormous, almost planet-sized, bristling with defenses and guarded by fleets of ships that moved with mechanical precision. No human fleet could hope to challenge it directly, and yet here they were, a single vessel against an impossible force. Scanners indicate multiple patrol layers, Lieutenant Mara Kess reported, her fingers flying across her console. They've reinforced the perimeter since we first detected them. If we try to sneak past, we risk triggering full alert. If we create false energy signatures, we can draw part of their fleet away long enough to get closer to the station. Mara activated the holographic decoys, which projected multiple false ships moving in different directions. The aliens responded immediately, dispatching a squadron of interceptors toward the decoys. The horizon's edge slipped silently behind, invisible and precise. For hours, they moved carefully, weaving between patrols and using gravitational anomalies to hide their path. Every pulse, every calculation, every instinct mattered. This was not a battle of weapons, but a battle of wits. Humans were known for their unpredictability, and that unpredictability was the edge that could save them. Suddenly, a sharp alert cut through the calm. "Contact! A patrol group is converging on our position," Mara shouted. "They've detected residual energy from one of our decoys." Mara recalibrated the energy field, bending light and masking their heat signature. The aliens fired warning pulses, their energy beams slicing through space where the humans had been moments before. The ship shuddered, but no damage occurred. The crew held their breath, every second stretching into eternity. Then, as quickly as it had begun, the patrols moved on, chasing false readings left behind by the decoys. "We made it," Eric whispered, a mixture of relief and disbelief in his voice. "They fell for it completely. The station is ahead, and the real challenge begins now." Varn gathered the crew in the small briefing area. "Listen carefully. Our target is the Central Command Corps. It controls the entire fleet in this sector. We do not need to destroy the station completely. We need to disable it, create confusion, and force the alien fleet to retreat. Every decision you make from this point will determine whether we succeed or fail." "Are we clear?" Where the aliens expected predictable maneuvers, the crew improvised, bending patterns, adjusting speed, and using gravitational anomalies to mask their presence. Lieutenant Kess monitored the systems closely. "We're approaching the inner perimeter. Sensors indicate automated defense turrets ahead. They're linked to a central targeting network. Any detection will trigger full alert. We need them focused on the wrong spots while we move toward the core." The crew grew tense, every second increasing the risk of detection. Varn watched the displays carefully, knowing that one mistake could end the mission. Then came the first encounter with a defensive drone squadron. Unlike previous patrols, these drones were faster, larger, and more lethal. They were designed to anticipate maneuvers, equipped with algorithms capable of predicting human reactions. Varn made a quick decision. "We can't outfight them, we outsmart them. Mara, initiate counter-pattern projection. Eric, follow my lead and weave through the energy shadows. Trust your instincts, everyone." Each shot passed harmlessly, the horizon's edge bending light and heat, using every trick the humans had developed over their journey. The crew worked together seamlessly. Kess adjusted energy fields on the fly, creating illusions and false readings. Eric guided the ship through narrow channels that seemed impossible to navigate. Varn made split-second tactical decisions, anticipating the drone's behavior and exploiting weaknesses. It was a dance of skill, instinct, and courage. Humans, small and alone, were using creativity as a weapon. And for a moment, the alien systems faltered, unable to predict or adapt to such unconventional tactics. When the squadron finally disengaged, the crew allowed themselves a brief moment of relief. "We're in," Varn said quietly, scanning the station ahead. "The core is within reach, but we are not done. The real danger lies inside." The humans had to navigate not only the outer defenses, but also the interior security systems that monitored movement, energy emissions, and even structural vibrations. As they entered the station's shadow, the ship's sensors detected the core, an immense sphere of energy and machinery controlling the alien fleet across the sector. Disabling it would require precision, coordination, and timing. Varn addressed the crew. "We have one chance to hit the core and disable it. Mara, you will manage the interference patterns to keep the internal defenses blind. Eric, guide us through the safest path to the core. I'll coordinate the operation. Remember, one mistake and we trigger full alert." Humans were small, fragile in the vastness of space, yet they possessed qualities no alien fleet could counter. Intuition, creativity, courage, all amplified when combined with trust and teamwork. The ship moved closer, threading its way through corridors of energy, avoiding detection and exploiting every anomaly. Every maneuver was a risk, yet the crew remained steady, calm, and precise. Finally, they reached the core. Varn gave the command. Mara activated the interference field, masking their presence and creating false signals that tricked the station's sensors. Eric guided the ship into position, and Varn deployed the device designed to disable the core's control systems. The moments stretched like hours. The device connected, energy flowed, and systems began to fail across the station. Turrets shut down, drones froze in place, and communication with the fleet outside flickered and vanished. The humans had achieved what seemed impossible. A single ship had disrupted an entire alien armada. As the horizon's edge pulled away from the core, the station began to show signs of collapse. Energy surges rippled through its structure, and the fleet outside retreated in confusion. Humans had turned the tide not with numbers but with ingenuity, courage, and teamwork. Varn allowed himself a small smile. "One ship," he said softly. "One crew, one chance. That was all we needed." They had faced impossible odds, navigated through deadly territory, and emerged victorious. Not through brute force, not through overwhelming numbers, but through what it meant to be human. Creativity, courage, and unity had won the day. As they left the station behind, moving deeper into the void, the crew knew that challenges still lay ahead. The alien race would recover, adapt, and strike again. But humanity had proven something vital, that even a single ship, guided by human skill and spirit, could determine victory from defeat. The stars stretched endlessly before them, indifferent yet illuminated by the spark of human determination. In the darkness of space, a small crew of humans had shown that they were more than fragile beings on a small planet. They were a force capable of defying the impossible. And as the horizon's edge continued its journey, every crew member understood that this mission was not just about survival. It was about proving that humans, small and alone, could face the universe and change it, one choice at a time. The horizon's edge floated just beyond the core's control radius, silent in the vastness of space. The alien command station, crippled yet still formidable, had been disrupted by the humans' daring operation, but the mission was far from over. The ship had to maintain its position, complete the final objectives, and survive the inevitable response. Captain Elias Varn knew that the real challenge was about to begin, the moment when the alien forces would recognize that a single human crew had not only entered their stronghold, but had also turned the tide of battle. "Scans indicate the main defense network is still partially operational," Lieutenant Mara Kess said, her voice tight with concentration. "If we proceed without caution, we risk alerting reinforcements. The system is adapting to our interference. It's learning. We can slip inside the inner control perimeter for a short period, but timing must be exact. Any delay, and we trigger full countermeasures." Alien turrets lined every approach, each equipped with sensors capable of detecting minute energy fluctuations. Every pulse from the horizon's edge could betray them. But humans had an advantage the aliens could not predict: imagination, intuition, and boldness. Mara activated the interference field, bending light, heat, and energy emissions. It created flickering shadows, false signals, and phantom readings. The station's sensors reacted, scanning the wrong areas, chasing illusions that led nowhere. The drones and automated defenses moved unpredictably, giving the humans just enough time to advance. Hours passed like minutes. Every move demanded perfection. One false reading, one miscalculation could end everything. The crew was silent, focused, each aware of the stakes. And yet there was a quiet exhilaration. Humans thrived under pressure, adapting faster than any machine. Every decision they made pushed the limits of their skill and courage. Then came the first major obstacle, a reinforced security zone deeper than any they had passed. Energy barriers shimmered across the corridors, scanning for unauthorized power signatures. Any breach would trigger alarms and activate the station's most advanced drones. Varn assessed the situation. We cannot fight them head-on. We bypass, improvise, or they win. Mara, can you phase the energy field long enough for us to pass? Only a brief window, but yes. We can phase it for 60 seconds. Timing must be perfect. The energy barriers shimmered, almost alive with detection pulses, but the horizon's edge phased through, disappearing from the station's internal network for a fleeting moment. Sensors blinked, failed to register, and the ship emerged on the other side unscathed. A quiet cheer rippled through the crew. Humans were small, fragile, yet unstoppable when ingenuity and courage combined. Beyond the barriers, the control core loomed. A massive sphere of energy and machinery, it pulsed with power that controlled fleets, systems, and communications across the sector. Disabling it would require precision, teamwork, and nerves of steel. Varn gathered the crew in the command room. This is it. The device we carry can shut down the core temporarily, but placement must be exact. Mara, you handle the interface. Eric, guide us to the optimal location. Every second counts. And remember, the station may still adapt. Expect surprises. When the ship reached the core's proximity, Mara began deploying the device. Its mechanisms were delicate, requiring her full concentration. Eric guided the ship with millimeter precision, avoiding energy spikes and moving obstacles. Varn coordinated communications and monitored external threats. Every action had to be synchronized. Suddenly, alarms blared. The station had recognized the interference and deployed elite defense drones. They moved faster than anything encountered before, firing precision pulses designed to disable the horizon's edge. Varn's mind raced. Evasive maneuvers. Follow the contingency pattern delta. Use the interference field to redirect their targeting. We cannot stop. We'll adapt faster than we can repair. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The ship shuddered as it narrowly avoided collision with structural elements. Systems flickered under the strain, but the humans held their course. One mistake could cost billions of lives, yet each member trusted the other implicitly. Finally, the device was in position. Mara activated it, and the core's energy systems began to fluctuate. Lights dimmed across the station, drones froze mid-flight, and turrets powered down temporarily. The alien fleet outside, receiving fragmented signals, reacted with confusion. Orders conflicted. Ships hesitated. Communication lines were disrupted. Humanity's single ship had caused chaos across an entire alien armada. For a brief moment, silence fell over the horizon's edge. Victory was within reach, yet the mission was not over. The station could still recover, and the alien response would come swiftly. Varn turned to his crew. We've done what many thought impossible, but the danger is not gone. We move quickly. Extraction is as vital as the operation itself. Every second matters. Mara maintained the interference field, bending light and energy to conceal their movements. Every human instinct honed over the journey guided them past detection. Then came the final test, the main exit corridor monitored by the station's most advanced systems. Sensors could detect heat, energy, and even minor gravitational disturbances. Any misstep and the crew would be trapped. Varn made the decision. We go full manual, no assistance from autopilot or guidance systems. We rely on skill, instinct, and timing. Trust yourselves, trust each other, and we make it. The horizon's edge slipped past the final defenses, emerging into the black void outside the station. The crew allowed themselves a moment of relief. The core was disabled. The station was in chaos. The alien fleet was retreating in confusion. Humanity's single ship had done what no one believed possible. Varn looked at his crew, pride in his eyes. One ship, one crew, one chance. That is all it took. Humanity is alive because of courage, creativity, and determination. Remember this moment, it defines who we are. They had faced the impossible, outwitted a superior force, and proven that humans, though small and seemingly fragile, could shape the course of galactic events. As they traveled through the silent expanse, stars stretched endlessly around them, indifferent yet illuminated by the spark of human determination. The horizon's edge was no longer just a ship. It was a symbol, proof that a single human crew, guided by skill, ingenuity, and courage, could determine the fate of billions. The journey was not over. The alien race would recover. Challenges would continue. But humanity had shown its essence, a species capable of adaptation, bold action, and brilliance under pressure. One ship, one crew, one human spirit had changed the balance of the galaxy. And as the horizon's edge disappeared into the void, carrying its crew home, the humans aboard knew something profound. They had faced death, outsmarted a superior enemy, and proven the timeless truth of humanity. When the odds are impossible, humans do not merely survive, they redefine possibility itself. The horizon's edge drifted through the black expanse of space, its hull scarred, systems fatigued, yet its crew unbroken. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to the events that had just unfolded. The alien fleet, once a looming threat across light years, had been thrown into chaos. Their command station crippled, their coordination fractured, they had retreated, unable to comprehend how a single human ship had inflicted such disruption. Humanity had survived, not by overwhelming force, but by ingenuity, courage, and the unpredictable brilliance that defined their species. Captain Elias Varn stood at the helm, his gaze fixed on the distant blue glow of Earth. Weeks had passed since the initial incursion, and the memory of the mission's dangers still lingered in the cabin's quiet hum. Every crew member carried the weight of what they had achieved and what they had risked. Lieutenant Mara Kess leaned against her console, reviewing system logs. The core's shutdown duration was longer than expected. The aliens won't recover quickly. We've bought humanity precious time. And the fact that they can't predict humans means they'll be cautious for a long time. We've proven that one ship can change everything. Outside the ship's viewports, the stars seemed calm, indifferent to human struggles, yet the crew carried a spark of defiance that no galaxy could extinguish. Humans were small, fragile, yet capable of greatness in the face of impossible odds. This mission had proven it. As Earth's orbit came into view, communication channels buzzed with activity. The United Earth Council and military command were waiting, anxiously tracking their lone ship's return. Messages of concern, hope, and anticipation flooded the horizon's edge. Humans on the planet held their breath, unaware of the full story but sensing that something extraordinary had occurred. Varn opened a channel. "This is Captain Elias Varn of the horizon's edge. Mission accomplished. We are returning to Earth." Earth, once a distant blue dot, now grew larger, teeming with life, civilization, and the countless humans whose survival had depended entirely on their actions. Varn spoke softly, more to himself than anyone else. "This is why we do what we do, not for glory, not for medals, but because we can. Because humans have the courage to face the impossible and the creativity to find a way through it. We adapt, we improvise, and sometimes that is enough." Humans on Earth watched in awe as the lone ship that had defied the galaxy descended, carrying the crew who had made history. When the hatch opened, the crew stepped onto the tarmac. They were greeted with cheers, applause, and tears. The media, military, and council members surrounded them, but Captain Varn held up a hand, calling for silence. "We did not succeed because of machines," he said, voice firm and proud. "We succeeded because we are human, because we can think, adapt, and act where others follow rules, because we trust one another and dare to take risks when the stakes are highest. This is who we are. This is why one ship can decide the fate of billions." They realized that the humans aboard the horizon's edge represented the very best of their species: courage, creativity, and determination in the face of insurmountable odds. The news spread quickly. Across continents, humans celebrated not just survival, but the essence of humanity itself. Children looked to the stars and dreamed of courage. Scientists marveled at ingenuity. Leaders reevaluated what it meant to defend their planet. The story of one ship had united the species, inspiring hope and resilience for generations. For the crew, the celebration was tempered by reflection. They had seen the edge of destruction, faced death in forms unimaginable, and yet emerged victorious. Every system failure they overcame, every tactical decision they improvised, had shaped the outcome. And every member of the team knew that their unity, trust, and courage had been as vital as any weapon or device. In the quiet moments after the ceremonies, Varn gathered his crew once more. "We've shown the galaxy that humans are not to be underestimated. That even a single ship can change the course of events. That one crew, with skill and courage, can stand against what seems impossible. Remember this because the universe is vast and the next challenge will come. But now we know what we are capable of. That our spirit, our adaptability, and our courage make a difference. No fleet, no alien can calculate that fully. That is all it ever takes. Across the globe, humans looked at the night sky and felt something they had always known but now understood more deeply. Survival, victory, and hope were not determined by numbers or machines alone. They were determined by courage, ingenuity, and the relentless human spirit. And in that moment, the universe seemed to pause, acknowledging what a single human ship could accomplish, and how one crew, united and brave, had changed the fate of billions. The stars stretched on endlessly, but now they were not just cold lights in the void. They reflected the spark of human determination, resilience, and brilliance. Humanity had proven itself, small, fragile, yet unstoppable when it mattered most. The Horizon's Edge and its crew would be remembered for generations, a reminder of what humans could achieve when skill, courage, and ingenuity combined. One ship had turned the tide. One crew had decided victory or defeat, and humanity, against all odds, had triumphed. The galaxy had taken notice, and Earth's children would grow up dreaming of courage, determination, and brilliance. One day, new ships, new crews would follow the example of the Horizon's Edge. But for now, the mission was complete. Humanity had proven that even against impossible odds, one ship, one crew, and the human spirit were enough to change the universe. Captain Varn watched the stars through the hangar's viewport, a quiet pride in his eyes. The Horizon's Edge had done what many thought impossible. Humans had survived, not because of numbers or machines, but because of what made them uniquely human. And in the vast silence of space, that spark burned brighter than ever, a testament to the courage, ingenuity, and unstoppable spirit of humanity.